Yeah, Miss Benford over here is in the trucking industry, Brittany, so we're making that happen. All right, so for our next guest, we have Miss Kim Daly. Similar story. Growing up, my sister and Miss Kim played my other sister. So Brittany knew my oldest sister. Kim knew my middle sister, still older than me. They played basketball together, played summer league basketball. Kim ended up going to WashU, right? After WashU, she went to UT Law School, started working for a law firm in Houston. Something Southern. It doesn't matter now. She doesn't work there anymore. She worked there for a while. She said, "You want to know what? I'm going to start my own law firm." So now she has her own law firm that is launched and a brand, personal brand. And I'm not going to waste any more time. And I'm going to put her picture up and let her go next.
Hey, I appreciate that. All right, so what's happening, everybody? As Max said, my name is Kim Daly. I've known this guy since he was like, I don't know, maybe 8 years old. So it's beautiful to see what he's able to do now. And so I heard earlier while Brittany was speaking, I heard different things that you guys have going on. We've got a lot of creativity in this room, all right? There's a lot of blackness in the room. Whenever we got blackness, we got creativity, all right? We just go ahead and do it, right? We got caterers, we got shop owners, we got people making products, we got people services, gyms, and things like that. And so my understanding is that there's a pitch competition coming up in a few weeks. And I want to give you guys, we'll talk about public speaking. We're also going to talk about mental health and dealing with the hardships of entrepreneurship. So I'm going to give a brief background of my story, like Max said. I'm from Houston, born and raised, went to college in St. Louis, went to law school at UT. You know, when I was at UT, I got my first job, and I was like, oh, baby, they're not going to stop me. I knew my first job was going to be my last job, right? From day one, there was this attitude, and I'm sure all of you guys have dealt with that attitude that you get from up top, which is you should be grateful to be here. And my attitude and response was, y'all don't even know who you is. Right? It's a walk, we got to walk. It's a talk, we got, oh, yeah, yeah. Anyway, it's like I'm taking what I need from y'all to move on my own path. And so my man right here asked the question previously about, well, where does the motivation come from? When I was at Evershed Sutherland, I was in the NBA of law firms, right? There's certain tiers to these law firms, and there was no tier higher than where I was. And so imagine being a young black person, having your family see where you've gotten and getting all of these exterior accolades. You're doing a great job. We're so proud of you. This is awesome. But y'all don't know what I was going through on the inside. Y'all don't know. And it's one of those things where I thought that the money would make up for the stress. I thought that having the prestige and having these accolades would make up for what I was missing in my own personal life. But it got to the point where I said, these people they're paying me good money. I'm not even gonna lie. But the first thing I'm gonna do is get rid of this notion that they're paying me my worth. Okay? God defines my worth. They are not God. And even the money that I make in life doesn't define my worth. Because like Brittany said, some months, that money gonna be real high. And y'all ain't messing with nobody. It's like walk in the room, Chris, be like, let me talk to Mr. Chris. Walk in the Louis Vuitton, let me talk to Louis. and that's cool, and it can be real fun, but the next month or the next time when the money's not so high, if you had your identity tested at the first time, now what? Now what we gonna do? And so for me, when I made the decision to leave what I was dealing with and what I had in corporate America, I first had to pray to God for motivation. Straight up. I hated my job. I loved the money. And I said, well, God, this got me in a little bit of a pickle, all right? And I didn't, my whole life, I just thought, I want the status, the stability, and run me my money. I had the status. At that level of status, there is no stability because the mofos can fire you at any given minute for any given reason. And the money wasn't enough. I said, there's not enough that you can pay me to put my purpose to the side. And so for me, after praying, God, give me motivation. Give me something. I've been focused on the money for so long, but I need something else to drive me. And finally I said, you know what? This right here, working at this law firm, by their rules, doing what they say, believing in myself only to the extent that I got validation from this motherfucker who would own me if he could. Like, no.
Yeah.
So the motivation that I got was that this is my way of living out my purpose on this earth. This is my way of saying, you know what, my family, my ancestors, my people, they didn't fight all this time. They didn't invest in me the way that they did for me to get here and sacrifice and settle. God, give me something to hold on to. And God said, what about your own dreams? What about that gift that I gave y'all? Y'all, I'm a corny person, all right? Like, I am just corny and there's no avoiding it. And so I would be writing legal briefs and I'd be like, ooh, kill him. It's gonna kill him right there. And then my boss would be like, well, what is this nonsense? Get this out. Okay, fine. And I would still go to court and I would still make my corny little argument and I would still win.
Yes.
And so it came to the point where I was like, I have these gifts, they're being suppressed, they're not being fulfilled.
Yeah.
And I have gifts beyond this law firm.
Yes.
But there was no opportunity for life beyond the law firm.
Yeah.
And I said, this isn't what this can't be it. This can't be it for me to say thank you to somebody else who I don't trust with my life, and now I'm trusting them with my paycheck? Bad combination. And so when we're talking about the motivation, the reason why you guys are all here in the room, of course, we want the bread, okay? Like, we want more money than we have right now, and we're believing in ourselves that we can generate it. I'm not gonna tell you that money is a bad motivator, all right? I'm not that woke, all right? Because like, but bills gotta get paid, but in addition to bills gotten to get paid, like, we like nice things, all right? And we deserve nice things.
Yes.
But when the relationship that you have with your success is tied to money, entrepreneurship is a bad place to be.
That's right.
Because that money's gonna come and it's gonna go. Now, it might come right back. It might come back 3 months later. What's going to happen in that 3 months? I'll tell you what happened for me. So I quit the job. July, they wanted us back in the office. I said, I'm gonna walk behind in this office and put in my resignation. And I did it. And I felt on top of the world. You couldn't stop me. I had taken classes like you guys had on entrepreneurship. I said, you know, I got my little side hustle. I got my LLC registered. You know, I done made a couple dollars on the side. I'm finna full time this mofo. First month out the gate, I'm finna exceed what y'all paid me. First month out the gate, I said, ooh. Go on. You see, when I had prayed for motivation, I assumed that the provision was gonna come. But I see that you have different plans. That's cute. You didn't tell nobody. All right, I would have saved up some more before I left. So then August, I was like, all right, cool. So money doesn't come just because you believe it. You should have it.
Right.
All right. Not gonna let that stop me.
Right.
September, come out the gate. All right, y'all. At the time, I was doing life coaching. I was tired, I was burnt out. I thought I didn't want to be a lawyer anymore, but God was just like, take a little break, do whatever you gotta do. Okay, you don't want to be a lawyer anymore, all right. So I'm doing this, and I come out in September, and I'm like, bam! And I did well. I did well. I would be fully transparent with y'all. In September of 2021, I made $3,000 on my own, all right? Now, that was far less than I had been making as this top corporate lawyer. And so what did I do? With that base set of facts that I made $3,000, I decided to have pity on myself. Because how in the world, if I set my sights so high, and I did everything that I had been taught to do, I did everything that I believed would lead me to success, and this is what I got? And I went into a hole. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. You know, like maybe the whole like be delusional thing, like maybe I girl boss too close to delusion. Now I'm just broke. Right. And I remember having a conversation with somebody else, and they were like, you know, Kim, what's going on? I said, you know what? to be honest, like I'm really grateful to be out that firm life because that was killing me physically, killing me mentally, emotionally. And I said, man, but like I'm just not doing well. And I told her, and she said, wait a minute, hold up. Can you make $3,000? And I'm like, okay, well, tell that to my bills. And she said, no, you don't understand. You used who you are, and you were able to make like a decent amount of money with that. And you should be grateful and proud about that. And then me being the very type A, very like, you know, it has to be, if the bar's right here, I have to be here before I'm proud of myself. On the one hand, that led me to achieve great success in my life. Again, these things are really helpful when you're working with someone else. In entrepreneurship, it's also great to have these great goals, but what do we make it mean when we don't meet them? I made it mean that I wasn't good enough. And I made it mean that those prayers and conversations that I had with God were fraudulent because I wasn't achieving. It took me a couple of months, honestly, to get back out there and to try again. Because I let 1 month of trying and failing stop me from getting to where I let 1 month of trying and failing stop me, take the light from out of me, act like I don't know what I'm doing, and act like everything that I did before meant nothing. Right? No longer was I all of these positive things that I had thought about myself when times were good. Now I'm only thinking about what I'm not good at. How well do y'all think I did in business when I focused on what I was not good at? Take a guess. Not good. And why would that be the case? When I was a kid, there was this poster I would see. I saw a lot of like really helpful posters in elementary school. One of them was that it doesn't matter what you wear, like these things are gonna matter 10 years from now. So when I was a kid, I was like, I don't care. If it's light green and mint green, they clash. The sign says it doesn't matter what I wear. It's not gonna matter what I wear. But there's another sign, obviously I disagree with that. There was another sign that really stuck with me, and that was that your altitude or your attitude determines your altitude. Right? Like we've all heard it, it's kind of corny, it's kind of played out. But when you are an entrepreneur, you are selling yourself and your creativity. And even if the words on your page or the words that come out of your mouth sound wonderful, y'all, energy is real. And you can feel that. And other people can feel that. And so you have to believe in yourself. And I'll be clear, believing in yourself alone ain't gonna take you there. But not believing in yourself is gonna take you absolutely nowhere. So how do we believe in ourselves when the data in front of us wants us to believe a different narrative? First off, you gotta remember your roots. For some of us, that may look like your family that you have here. For some of us, it's like, no, family, them ain't roots, I'm cutting them off. What is your confidence center? For me, it was my family. It was the investments that people that put into me. But it was also my relationship with God. And I said, now God, look, all right? You don't want to be out here looking a fool, all right? I don't want to be out here looking a fool. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna get out of bed. Right foot, left foot. My 2 feet are on the ground. I'm an entrepreneur. First thing I feel in the morning, nervousness. Oh my God. Oh my God. Like I'm excited, we could have a really good day. But the last 28 days, they ain't been daying the way the days should day. All right? And so I go to my source and I say, you know what? Today I am choosing to believe that I have everything that I need to succeed.
Yes.
Our bodies react to the mental messages that we have playing in our head. And so if the mental message that we have is, I'm not good enough, they don't want my shit, I can't do this like this other person, our body is going to receive those messages. And so we're wasting our time going out in the world with that energy.
Yeah.
We talked previously, Brittany was harping on knowing your product, knowing your product, knowing your product, and you gotta know your product. You gotta know your product, you gotta love your product, you gotta believe in your product, you gotta sell your product. But before you can do that, you gotta know yourself. You have to know when times are good, what is it that's making this time good right now? What are the narratives that I'm hearing in my head right now? I'm going to write those down. I'm gonna write a letter to Kim on the bad days. Hey girl, I see you're having a bad day. Oh, is it about money? How long are you going to continue to let that be your determinant of having a bad day? Well, let me tell you something. 6 months ago, you were having a bad day. And you decided to do nothing about it. This is literally how I talk to myself. You decided to do nothing about it. And it got better eventually, like 4 weeks later. But this time, you are going to acknowledge your fear. Acknowledge the insecurity and say, I may be afraid that I will not get a sale today, but I'm not going to let that squash my potential.
Yes.
You acknowledge the fear, and then you speak truth over that fear. And when it comes up, you acknowledge that fear again, and you speak truth over that fear again, because y'all, it is hard.
Yeah.
It's rewarding, it's exciting. Like, I knew I was gonna be here this evening, so I cleared my morning schedule, so what I'm not gonna do is work for like 14 hours a day. I'm not doing that, right? And so like, I have those liberties now that I didn't have before. But also, before, if I had a bad day, I was still gonna have a bad day and a paycheck. Now, if I have a bad day, I got a bad day and hope. All right? So we gotta make these things come together. So that's really what I wanted to talk to you guys about when it comes to the mental health aspect of it. And that's kind of just one part of it, the believing in yourself and reminding yourself to believe in yourself. Not beating yourself up, even when you feel like you have reasons to do so. I feel like I have reasons to beat myself up. But I know that if I do that, I'm going to put myself further behind than I am forward. And so I'm going to choose to forgive myself. There's a book that I love. I started reading it at the beginning of the pandemic, and it's called Atomic Habits. So good. The premise of the book is that every small thing that you do will end up being this, snowball effect in the change in your life. And so what I have right now is called a habit tracker. It's a little visual guide, and I want to pray, I want to stretch, I want to meditate. I give myself a check mark for using my habit tracker. I give myself a check mark for using my planner. And each day I get up there and I reward myself where I don't. Now, there were like 4 or 5 days when I wasn't stretching and I wasn't working out. Now, old Kim would have been like, what are you doing with your life? What are you doing, bro? Like, you want to achieve, and like, you can't even do this? You haven't worked out in 5 days. Well, you're not going to accomplish anything. What's that going to do? That's going to lead to a shame spiral, okay? Shame spirals take a lot of energy to get out of. They're like a quicksand. They take a lot. And now, I have another tab in my habit tracker for didn't beat myself up today. So even if I don't accomplish any of those other great goals that I've outlined for myself, I accomplished something by not beating myself up. The mental part of what y'all are doing is difficult. And you're gonna share what you're doing with other people, and they're gonna look at you like you've got 3 heads. Why would you do that? Well, this other person, they got this going on, so why don't you try to do that? One thing that we have to understand is that people speak to the level of their belief in themselves. And so while it may come off as a personal attack on you, that's just people showing their colors. They don't believe they can, so how can you believe that you can? Right? But we know we can. You're in this room because you can. You know that you can. There's a feeling in your gut. Trace the source of that feeling. Another thing I had to do, I've talked about God a lot today, was really reactivate my faith practices. I started entrepreneurship, like most of you all, I'm assuming, during the pandemic. Wasn't going to church, living in a whole lot of isolation. And so it became wait a minute, hold on. Now I used to get a little wheel in the middle of the wheel, okay, every Sunday, all right?
Every Sunday.
Now I've been chilling. I've been praising. I'm like, but where is that? I look over to the hills from whence cometh my help. Where is it? I need it. And when I couldn't find it, I would say, God, I can't find it. I know you got some strength somewhere, and I know you got it for me. I need you to help me find it, and I'm not going to stop bothering you. I'm not going to stop asking you until you deliver. Because I know that when you created me, you wasn't wasting your materials.
No, not
Like, did you, hold on, time out, because I be waking up and I be like, oh man, I don't know, today's going to be hard. You know, I might fail. Really? Truly? Your creator made you a fail? That's ghetto. Who does that?
Come on with it.
You got your whole DNA, your whole fingerprint on the inside of me, and I'm gonna fail?
Oh my.
Not today, well really, truly, maybe today, but not overall. Not overall.
That's it.
I also would encourage everyone in this room, to the extent that you can, to see a therapist, right? And I know that there's a lot of talk these days about therapy and the benefits of it. And I know that, you know, our people, we got a lot of fear about going and telling somebody else our business, or starting to have these things uncovered that we don't want to deal with. But you know, it's two things that's really gonna bring out what's up inside you that ain't been dealt with. Okay? One of them things is marriage. Okay? Another one of them things is entrepreneurship. You be seeing these people. I was watching the show Super Pumped on Hulu, and it was the founder of Uber, right? The guy's a nut job. And so, but you see these people, and it's like, how? Actually, hold on, we've actually overhyped your talent, so let's go and hype that back down to where it should be. But there's the character conflicts. And that's the kind of thing that comes out when you're making your presentation. When you guys are selling, you're selling your body butters, you're selling your clothing, you're selling your services, you're selling your food, you are not just selling the item. You're selling yourself with it. And there are so many people who have services that I have booked just because I like you. That's it. I like you. And so I'm sure, again, we are all talented. We are absolutely, positively all talented. Regardless of whether or not your talent is the type of talent that gets the spotlight or not, baby, you got talent. You got skill. And so now it's a matter of, well, who do I like to talk to? Who can make it easy for me? Who do I relate to? I have had so many opportunities to get business coaching from these people who are at the top of their game. Oh, Mr. TED Talk, blah. They look just like this. All right, so I'm gonna opt out. I'm gonna opt out. And I'm gonna go to the people that make me feel and understand and vibe the way that I feel and understand and vibe in life. Y'all have that same opportunity. Okay? We got a little, I don't know what's going on in the background. We don't believe the blood of Jesus, brothers. But you know, I've heard a lot of conversation today about marketing and different avenues that we use to market. How many of y'all, I heard one person say it, how many of y'all are on TikTok? Okay. Because there's a change that's happening right now. Previously, in the pre-pandemic world, it was about the fancy marketing. It was about who has the biggest marketing budget. It was about who can make their stuff look the prettiest. And in some regards, it is still like that today. But it's moving. And it's moving to the point where my good sis talking about the body butter. I don't know what your content looks like, all right? But your skin is glowing. And so even
example right over there waiting here.
come on, somebody, but just that's what I'm saying. You pick up a camera and be like, baby, do you see this? Do you see this? It's a reflection of it. And that's it. That's it. Like there are 700,000 body butters out there. I'm gonna be real with you. But also, like, I went to Target the other day because now I'm an adult and like my mama don't be giving me stuff from Costco no more. Mama, I'm an entrepreneur. I need it. I need it. Thank you. But I went to Target. I needed some toilet paper. All right. I like Charmin Ultra Strong, but I like Charmin Ultra Strong with Mama Bite. When I go to Target, I'm like, all right, cool. Let me just find. I don't want it to like fall apart on me. You know what I'm saying? But it ain't got to be that good stuff. About 11 different brands of toilet paper on the rack at Target. All right, about 13 different kinds of paper towels on the rack at Target. Every city that I've ever been to, each city got about 700 different water brands. You know what I'm saying? And so don't let the presence of these other things out there stop you because they're not competition. That's the thing. You can't compete with what God has given you. This is their paper towels and my paper towels. You want the paper towel that's going to give you this energy over there? You want the paper towel that's going to give you this energy over here? We have the opportunity to change people's lives by being ourselves. That is one of the greatest gifts of entrepreneurship, and that is what I want you guys to hone in on. This is ourselves being made into a material product. All right, and so that's going to be a reflection of self, a reflection of love, but it's also us working out. The parable of the talents. Do we want to sit on the talent, or do we want to take the risk and maybe try just like dip your foot in that? There's a tweet that's been going around about this one thing that someone said on TikTok recently, which is, God, show me how good it can be. And imagine if we wake up on our days and say, acknowledge whatever the fear is, whatever the insecurity is, whatever didn't acknowledge it. We can't pretend like it's not there. Yada, 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 and God. Show me how good it can get. So that's the energy that I want y'all to come with. The pitch competition is coming up. 10 G's gonna be spread across this room. All right. Y'all got presentations to give, and when it comes to being nervous, it's okay to be nervous. I was sitting over there in that chair, like my arm twitching a little bit. All right, Kim, that's your nerves. That's your nerves. I'm gonna come up here, I'm doing a little walkie walk, make a little jokey joke with y'all, and I'm calm. You had that opportunity. Everybody else in the room gonna be nervous, and the people who you're talking to have been in your shoes before. And so if they're people with hearts, right, then they'll understand. And if they're people who were not, then all money ain't good money, and I'm all right with you. Right? And that's how that's gonna go. That's how that's gonna go. So now we have the opportunity, if you guys have any questions about anything that I've discussed, ask me.
I just would follow you because I love you.
Well, thank you. Thanks.
I'm just saying thank you because I was just talking to this crew right here, and I was nursing for a couple of years, but I just quit and came back to work at A&M. Y'all took a big pay cut, but I had letting the ladies know, like, I'm drained, I'm tired, I don't even know if I want to do it anymore, and they both whispered, you hear that? You hear that? So thank you, because at first when I came today, I was like, nah, I'm done. But now, thank you though, because I needed to hear all of it.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. What y'all got up for the pitch? Anybody got their, you know how you gonna walk up there? Y'all watch the Shark Tank or something? Like, what? We got a little routine, everybody?
I've been watching a lot of stuff.
Yeah?
I don't see what they're doing.
What do y'all watch that's helpful? YouTube YouTube University, baby. Shit. I can YouTube that.
I definitely been on YouTube. They've been bored, so I'm like, if we're doing it right, because the money. And then I tried to go find like the big money people, you know, like this chic, it was a bunch of black girls who won stuff, you know, like, so I found them, like, well, she won 10,000, but they ain't do much. You know, it's like, why I'm so nervous about this one, and they ain't really, well, I'm not gonna say they didn't do anything, because they sold their stuff, or they made you believe, and they got it.
Yeah.
And so y'all been watching, I've been living like us.
Yeah.
Like every time I'm watching those pitch competitions, because they're all different. You know, it's all for different reasons or different, you know, it might be, they're going for this or that. It's not always about money. Like a lot of them, it's not like just, it's getting you out there. When you find the right pitch competition that's gonna get you that marketing that you're looking for. So I've been watching like a lot of different, one of them because personally for me, like I've been in business since 2018. And I feel like it's time for a new level. And then, so I've been looking at like, what y'all doing, who y'all wanna go see? I mean, it's sell women clothes. 1,000, a million people got boutiques, but like how did they get so many? How did they, you know, like I'm not trying to limit myself.
Boutiques, but don't a million people got fashion, you know what I'm saying?
So
So you have to be like, all the boutiques going, but since over there like that.
And so like, cause I was looking at my revenue and everything, and I'm like, girl, you've been making like 100K, 74K, like, so like, it's here, but like what you missing, like where else is it to go? You know, they keep saying like, y'all in that small area, y'all doing out, but in this small area, I made it, but I ain't made it. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, what you missing? Like, what else can you, like, what can you do? Like, what else can you do? So now I'm looking like, okay, you've been here, you done had a storefront for a year and a half now, like you booming, you stay boom, even like you said on them days you wake up like, ooh, I ain't have no sales today, didn't make nothing, I didn't do nothing, but you had the month where you made 6K. And so I'm a spender, but I have learned how to put it over there, you know.
Yeah, you got to.
Because when it ends up like the days, like she said, I get up during the week, cause like it's boring. It's so boring to me. But I get up, I go open my doors, cause you know, I'm left even got this far. Open the door, sitting there, you know, you don't get customers every day, but something happens, I don't know, something always happens. Then when I look at the end of the month, people like, girl, you made $7,000. Like, and I'd be like, well, it was boring weeks, but something came in from somewhere. But you do think that, like, when you wake up, like, I don't even want to go. Like, Tuesday is so boring, but then my husband, he's funny. So he'd be like, hey, you ain't gonna get nothing laying on side that bed looking like that. And I'm like, nobody even been coming on Tuesday. And like a coincidence like this Tuesday, I made like $400. I don't never make no money on Tuesdays, and I stayed in the bed late, and I made a little post, and I'm like, y'all gonna open up at 1 o'clock today, y'all come see me, because I didn't wanna go. I was just like, I can't, like I didn't wanna go. He always make fun, like, he ain't gonna get no money sitting there. Y'all always trying to go, I hope you don't think you're gonna get nothing from me, and you just laying in the bed like but I got up and went, and like, a Hispanic lady, I don't know where she found me from, but she walked in there. Got her little brand bathing suits, and she told me she was going to, I think she's going to the Bahamas or something. She's like, somebody told me about your shop, and they said you're open on Tuesday. Like, she came in there and spent like $400. I'm like, my only customers for today, she done met my quota.
And you know, I heard a lot of you guys say that you're pretty much local, but also I haven't heard anyone who has a business that cannot be put on a bigger scale, especially folks that be cooking, because there are people like me, I ain't never gonna cook ever in the history of life. You know what I'm saying? And like, y'all would be really shocked to see, you know, and there's so many different things to observe. Even, you know, stunt culture. Somebody might be like, hey, yo, I want to get a chef. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I brought my, you know, she famous over there in Bryan College Station, all right, but I brought her down to Houston for the weekend. Like, give people a story to tell. You give people a story to tell, and they will come back and they will come back and they will refer. You got to give them a story to tell.
I appreciate you pushing the big vision. That's one thing.
Yeah.
One thing that I think is really important is to think big. Don't think small.
Absolutely. There's truly, and I know it can be overwhelming, but the sky truly is the limit. It's hard for us to see the sky when we down here. And that's okay. You don't have to see the whole big vision at once. You just got to see what is next. And so for everyone who was in this room with your product, I don't care if you got a gym service. When COVID happened, what was all them trainers doing? YouTube, TikTok. All right, y'all, we gonna whoop. Like, damn, that's how they get it done in Atlanta. Well, next time I go to Atlanta, what am I supposed to be going to Atlanta? Like, but next time I go, I'm gonna go to Buddy's gym because they be out there getting it, and I'm gonna be out of shape, but I'm gonna have fun.
Yeah.
And that's the story that I get to tell. It's a story that I get to tell.
Right.
If you tell stories, don't be like, oh, I gotta be professional and not tell a story to my customer. No, you the person that every time I go into the store, I might just go because I want to hear a story.
Right.
And then be like, well, might as well buy this shirt while I'm here because I've had a great time listening to the story. And so now every time I put this on, it's going to remind me of the wisdom that I got that day. There's opportunities for stories everywhere. Everywhere. Stories are what move us forward and help us see more for ourselves. And so when we're providing this value, we're providing not only whatever the service is, but we're providing an energy, we're providing a feeling, and we're providing something that they can take back long after that interaction with us passes. Any other?
I have a question.
What's up?
So, when thinking about your old job, you were in a white male-dominated corporate role,
100%.
right?
Yes.
And so, when breaking into that career path and starting off in that job, I can only imagine how hard it was.
I've been dealing with white people my entire life, so
Quite
it's another level of the same shit. Excuse me, the same thing.
What is some advice that you could give us who is coming in from a really small conservative town that is predominantly run by white males, and especially in jobs, we have several people who work on the A&M campus, it is run, by an oppressive regime, if you will. So what's some advice you can have, at least in a mental state, to get through that and see, what I am better than everyone?
Yeah, I mean, this just, again, I'm gonna go to a TikTok. Y'all see that Meg Thee Stallion one? And she's being interviewed, and somebody's like, well, what's gonna happen if you wake up one day and you don't feel like that girl? And Meg Thee Stallion was like, well, you need to go back to sleep. And if you don't feel like you that girl, you need to go back to sleep again and wake up because baby, you that girl. Right. And so there's an energy that you have to have. An energy that you have to have about yourself that says no matter what you say, in your suit, in your power, in your control, you not God. And there is a historic and massive blindness to our potential. And so they see us and they're like, oh, okay. If we know that that's the attitude, we the Trojan horse every time. Every time. Like y'all think I don't know what's going on. But like we are in charge. And one thing that's been very helpful for me in so many different ways is to actually kind of deconstruct my mind from the world that is and allow myself to think about the world that absolutely could be. And so in that regard, even for me, I started to think of like I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. Are you kidding me? Why would I do that when someone else could just pay me? Like why would I do that? And then I realized, wait a minute, hold on. Like the company that I was working for, it wasn't like God made the sky and God made the trees and God made Evershed Sutherland. It was God made the sky and God made the trees, and one day a white man woke up and believed he could, so he did. And you know what I'm not finna do? Go to my grave because somebody else believed they could, so they did. And I didn't believe I could, so I didn't. Come on, like we got movements to make. There are children in this room. There are children in this room, and so if we think even, we set our goals and what they are, and either we meet them or we exceed them or we get close to them or whatever. but it's also not just about us. It's not just about us. And so when you're in these rooms and you see these people and people who have historically held power, people who have historically abused their power, say, wait a minute, hold on. This is the world as is, and I am the world as it will be. And you're not gonna stop me.
That's right.
You're just not gonna stop me.
Yeah.
You can try, you can trip me up, you can get me mad, but you're not gonna stop me.
Yeah.
You're not gonna stop me. That's not gonna happen. My man.
So, I see you specialize in criminal defense.
My sister does, to be fair. My firm does. I'm a civil litigator. So I'm learning the ropes of criminal defense.
Okay, so what I was getting at was I was gonna ask you, do you do any business, consulting, like with the, you know?
So I do. So let me tell you guys a little bit about my practice. So K&L Daily Law. So I am Kimberly Lene Daly. My sister is Christina Lauren Daly Prasad. And together we make K&L Daily Law. So my older sister, she's 3 years older, she's also an attorney. And we're the first attorneys in our family. And she worked for the Harris County DA's office for 11 years before quitting this past February. And she was the chief of the sex crimes division. And so she made it all the way to the top, said, thank you so much for this experience, for the accolades, for all of it, and I'm out. I am out. So she runs the criminal law division. I do civil litigation. My business before I went into solo practice was defending Fortune 500 companies with all of their crooked behavior. So fraud, breach of contract, breach of fiduciary duty, any type of business, construction default, construction defect, and things like that. That is what I do. So when it comes to business, if it's a question or an issue with regards to like the formation of a business, I don't do that. That is a straight up, flat out corporate lawyer. But if somebody tries to get a little funny, like if you want to be funny, Kim Daly can be hilarious, all right? We're not, hey, don't try that. So that's what I do. I'm a litigator. I'm a dispute resolver. Yep.
I have one more question about
All right,
public
man.
speaking for you. So when going into a situation, obviously you're a natural public speaker, and you figure out how to engage the audience so that they're listening to you. When thinking about the pitch competition that's coming up, what are some things that we can do, especially our friends who are nervous and still trying to decide if they're going to pitch? What are some things that we could do to prepare and mentally prepare to actually get that pitch?
So Brittany gave a really good piece of advice earlier. Practice in the mirror. Practicing, like that's something I've been doing since I was a kid. And it's funny because when I'm in law school, mock trial, we're in these competitions and I'm going up against people and they're like, well, I'm a Lincoln Douglas national debate champion and I've been getting debate tutorials my whole life. And I'm like, well, I went to Brook Hollow Baptist Church, Pastor Ron Douglas. And when I got tired of listening to the actual sermon, I just decided to study how he talked instead. And there was something my pastor used to do, and oh my gosh, it was like the Olympics trying to figure it out. He would come up to the podium. All right, so I don't want to break, okay, whatever. He would come up to the podium, all like, stirring the song. Time for the reading of the word. And he would start every single sermon without fail, with a story. Every single sermon. And no matter what the story was, we knew that it was going to go into the application of the scripture. And I used to always try to figure out the point from when he went from talking like this to hooping and hollering and God's gonna come and he's going down. I'm like, what? I missed it. Like, we were just right here. And now we're like, glory! I'm like, God. Where is this transition? He started with a story. Start with a story. I'll tell y'all. In January of this year, I was still trying to be encouraged, all right, trying to feel good about myself when the money that I was making on my own wasn't matching the money that the white folks that I talk so much mess about. I'm like, but it's not adding up. And so I went home to my grandparents' house. My grandma lived in Greenville, Mississippi, and she's got a 6th grade education, right? Sharecropper, her whole entire life before moving into education. And my grandma's writing a book, all right? My grandma's a preacher, And so I expected her book to be, you know, I don't know, How to Be a Woman of God or something like that. So my grandma says she's got this book written, she's got a manuscript finished, and did I want to read it? And she pulls out like paper, and she hand wrote this book, paper. And the first line of it said, "When I was a little girl," and then just talked about things that happened in her childhood. And I kid you not, people have been telling me to write a book for years, and I'm always like, well, what am I going to say? How am I going to start it? I don't know what to do. Not going to do it. But I sat there and I went to my grandma, and she was so proud. When I was a little girl. And I said, that's it. She is sitting down, my grandmother determined that her story was worth telling. Yes. And even from having those few words at the beginning, when I was a little girl, I said, I get to learn about my grandma as a child. And I get to learn about my grandma as someone who believes in herself. Didn't nobody tell her to write that book? Didn't nobody tell her they were going to buy the book? She said, I have a story to tell. And we have stories to tell. Yes, we do. And we tell them through our business. And so when you're in that pitch competition, yeah, there's an item, but there's a story. So start with the story. Whatever it is, it can be your story. It can be a story you tell every single time. That's fine. Start with your story. Have the thing, you know, your nerves are going to start to balance themselves out as you go. And so what is your 2-minute, 3-minute, 4-minute, if nothing else goes right, they're going to get that story. Tell your story. It's your story. Can't nobody judge your story. Can't nobody be like, oh, I don't like that story. It's my story. Right. Tell your story. That is my recommendation. Tell your story. If you're nervous, be like, y'all hear this nervousness in my voice? That's what it sounds like. All right, cool. I talk about it. Like, if I'm awkward, I just, man, you know, few things are more awkward than me standing here right now. But imagine walking into a conference room and not having an outfit that you enjoy. And that is why I present to you X, Y, and Z. You know, I'm awkward, not gonna lie about that. I'm nervous, not gonna lie about that. But then even tie that into your product. And now what you got? Charm. Oh man, that's super cool. I like that. Sis was nervous and made it work for her. Make it work for you. It doesn't have to work against you. It does not have to work against you. Make it work for you. And with that, my good people, I hope you know that I believe in you. I can't believe in you more than you do. And I know how hard it is to believe in yourself. And that can be harder than mastering your business. And so if you want to master your business, you master yourself. Protect your mind. Your mind is what drives your actions. If your mind is telling you that you can't do it, guess what? You're not going to do it. Protect your mind. Tell your mind, God, mind, universe, whoever you're speaking to, show me how good it can get. Show me how good I can get. Let me believe. Let me believe in something more. And let this be part of my story. The rejection, that's going to be part of my story too. It is all part of my story. And it's all part of your story. So, congratulations. I look forward to hearing what happens at the pitch competition. I look forward to seeing y'all's businesses pop up on my For You page. Because I promise you, I'd be like, I wasn't going to buy that before, but like now I am. This is really great. Be creative. You might fail, and it's going to sting. Let it sting. God, I lost yesterday. I believe that I will win today.
Yes.
Speak to the fear and speak truth to it. Amen.
Real quick.
Yeah.
May 1st. I don't know if you're busy or not.
You know, I heard, I had an invitation. I have another conflict at this time. But yeah, no, I appreciate it. All right, y'all be blessed.
Before we leave, real quick, let's give Kim a few rounds. My name is Kim Daly. On social media, I am Kim Daly.
I don't do Twitter though, but Instagram and TikTok, that is me. So
Can we take a good picture with you?
let's do it.
Hey, everyone, let's get in front of the sign. Kiddos, too. Let's get in front of this. We're going to bring our friends Mom over to help if they're still on. All right, everyone, let's get in front of the sign. You two minutes. Come on, you got this. Come on, this man. I got one more. Come on, let's go. All right. So we're gonna have to take two pictures. One with this kid in the back, and one we're making this kid go to the front.
Do you look at them or will that be over?
You have to do that. Do that camera.
All right. Come on, Miss Wynn. Come on. We all love each other. Come on.
Can she stand up in a chair? Cause I don't know how she gonna see people on the back. Cause I can't even see her.
Let's see.
Do we need to get closer?
She doing panoramic? Yeah.
Okay, then I'll take another one. Alright, good.
All right, we'll scooch in a little bit. Scooch in a little bit. We're gonna get in one shot.
Everyone smile. Hey. Okay.
Hey, one more kid could be fun. Yeah, we need to feel it.
Smile. Okay.
Yeah.